What are the tripods in War of the Worlds? Today we'll be looking at the tripods from the War of the Worlds and examine just what they are and what makes them so memorable. The War of the Worlds was originally a science fiction novel by the famed author H.G. Wells, and since its release in 1897, the story has been told through different mediums, but mainly through movie adaptations. In rough terms, the story is about how humanity encounters Martians and how the aliens devastate England, which is where the novel mostly takes place. Now, as there are many adaptations of the story, the origins and general nature of the aliens have changed shape over the years. The most memorable one is probably the 2005 filmatization by Steven Spielberg. Here we really get to see the ruthlessness of the Martians as they rise in their tripod war machines all over the planet, and not just England. In the movie, it's explained to us through context and dialogue that the tripod machines were placed on Earth and buried here a very long time ago, presumably thousands of years into the past. The invasion starts off after massive storms appear all over the globe, and strange lightning bolts start striking the same spot over and over. This is something that we found out later was actually technology used by the aliens to transport themselves into the tripod machines, which tells us that the tripods needed to be piloted and could not be controlled remotely. The tripods are traditionally presented as being very tall machines, with flexible tentacle-like limbs and a large head-like cockpit with one eye. This is not really an eye in the traditional sense, however, but more like an ocular window to mere dust. According to my own research, in order to get instantly vaporized, the temperature of the beams would have to reach somewhere above 11,000 degrees Celsius. That's twice as hot as the surface of the sun. Now that is one crazy piece of technology. The interesting thing about the beams is that not only can they vaporize basically anything they hit, but as we see during the film, the beams are powerful enough to send highways flying. How is that not insane? One other explanation is that these beams are a sort of a heat ray that basically microwave organic matter and turn humans to superheated steam. This would also explain why we see buildings and bridges flying all over the place. This red weed is supposedly a form of terraforming. In other words, the aliens are trying to turn Earth into a more habitable planet, and for some reason they need human tissue to do it. Humanity uses on them, as the projectiles simply explode before reaching the tripods themselves. All these things make the tripods incredibly versatile machines. They can climb any surface, trample any enemy, and destroy any opposition or anything that endangers their pilots. One thing, however, that was missing from the tripods in the 2005 movie was the importance of the black smoke that plumed out of the tripods. This smoke was said to be extremely dangerous, as it could instantly kill any organic creature that inhaled it or got covered in it. In the 2005 filmatization, it's proven effective to use explosives if you can somehow get inside the tripod. The protagonist, Ray, who's played by Tom Cruise, manages to pull the pin on a grenade as the tripod attempted to pull him into its processing engine. As the grenade was swallowed, it exploded and the tripod was destroyed from the inside. Towards the end of the movie, we learn that the aliens were very vulnerable to Earth's bacterial environment, and after the aliens succumbed to a severe dose of the corona, the tripods deactivated and their shields disappeared, which made them surprisingly vulnerable to conventional weapons, such as missile launchers. But what about the latest adaptation, the BBC's TV series version? These tripods are somewhat similar to the ones we see in Steven Spielberg's movie. They're enormous, like most tripods in any adaptation, but generally they seem to be about the same size as the ones in the movie, which stood at around 150 feet in height or around 45 meters, which is roughly half the height of Big Ben in London, for reference. This version of the tripod seemed more vulnerable to weapons, however, as British naval guns could destroy them, making them seem a bit weaker than the movie version. They do, however, sport the heat ray, and this one can also instantly vaporize humans in a mere second. The tripods in the BBC series also had a black smoke weapon that was missing in the 2005 movie. The tripods bombard populated cities with it, and sure enough, people start bleeding from every orifice and drop like flies. Ugh, wouldn't want to be that guy. And that's all for today, folks. I've been wanting to cover some War of the Worlds stuff for a while now, because as you know, I have a huge fetish for giant killer robots. Don't forget to drop a like and maybe join the Ensven squad by subscribing. As always, have a good one.